BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor, take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support, and let's keep paying the mission forward.
My dad has this notebook with all my matches. He goes, every point I win, every point, like every game, every point. Okay, this game you won on Dios. He does that. He's crazy with the sport. And when I called my mom, because my mom is always the one picking up, and dad barely picks up the phone, but she always picks up. So I called her, and I saw both of them and my sister crying and celebrating. And I was like, okay, this is unmatchable. You cannot ask for more than this.
In today's episode, I interview Pablo Perez Ramos. He's the #1 singles player at NJIT. Pablo shares his journey from starting tennis at the age of 3 in Spain, navigating the mental and physical challenges growing up on the Canary Islands. Despite a severe ankle injury that sidelined him for a significant period, Pablo's mental resilience, dedication, family, and coaches helped him persevere. This culminating into leading his team to an unprecedented Southland Conference Championship. This discussion also touches on Pablo's plan to graduate from NJIT and his recent commitment to join the Florida Gators. Throughout the conversation, we talk about family support, mental toughness, and the joy of playing the sport that he loves so dearly. Welcome to the BTB Project, designed to empower listeners to identify their why and to live their best lives no matter the circumstances. My name is Kollman Gearhart, a former athlete and motivational coach. I've had the opportunity to inspire thousands through my story and help accomplish what they are built to be. You'll be encouraged by each and every episode, and let's get into it. The BTB Project is yet again incredibly humbled just to be surrounded by a tennis player that I believe not only has a tremendous resume, but also tremendous opportunities ahead. He happens to be the reigning #1 singles player, coached by a mentor and a good friend of mine over at NJIT. Recently, he was equipped with a nice big flashy ring for his conference championship as a team. He also made a commitment after he finishes up his degree at NJIT to go chomp it down in Florida with the Florida Gators. But it brings me a tremendous honor to welcome Pablo Perez Ramos to the BTB Project. Welcome, man.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for having me, and I'm so excited about this.
The path that you've taken to be a college tennis player in the United States is nothing short of extraordinary. And when I used to play, I always tell everyone that is interested in playing college tennis that I only played 4 Americans in 4 years. So I don't take lightly the sacrifice and the commitment that you and your family made to get to where you're at. Before we get into your collegiate success, I just would love for you to start by sharing a little bit more about how this started for you, man. Like, when did you pick up the racket? And at this point, was New Jersey even on the radar, or were you pretty focused on Spain at that point?
I started playing when I was 3, but the story really started in 1985, probably, when my dad bought the first pass for our tennis club. Once I was born, I remember my life with a tennis racket in my hand. I was going to the club, playing some tennis. I started at 3, playing older with my dad. Then at 4, I started in the academy there in the club, and from there, I started raising up. My father is a huge fan of the sport, and he used to play really well. So I was like, okay, Dad, if we have to spend 4 hours in court every day, we will. and he was more than happy to do so. Yeah, I started there. Then I moved to another academy when I was 12. Then I came back to the same club and the same academy 2 years after. And it's where I finished my Spanish career, like to say so. And well, NJIT and New Jersey were not in the radar at all. I was just playing for fun. I was not even thinking about playing tennis. After high school, I just wanted to study something because I didn't think I was good enough to keep playing. And all of a sudden, like people from my own clubs started to come to United States, and was when I realized that okay, maybe I can try to. And my beginnings at NJIT were not good enough. I flew to Barcelona to play a tournament, and my assistant coach at the time think I was gonna go play anyway, so it's fine. But then that week, it ends up that I finished winning the tournament, and that's when NJIT, Aitor, and the head coach at the time, Ira Miller, sent me the offer to come and play for them. And that's how everything panned out. I wasn't thinking about coming to college at all. And then all of a sudden, my parents are leaving me in the airport with COVID, and they couldn't even check in the bags with me. They were just in the door of the airport. They were like, okay, you're going to a new continent, a new place to live. And that was it. So it was huge, a huge change for me.
I don't take lightly what you said about some of the doubts that you had and trying to navigate, are you good enough? Listen, if you look at the world stage of tennis, Spain has always been so strong with the players and competitors that come out of your country. As I'm saying that, and the big names that we watch play at the majors on a daily basis, did you feel that pressure of trying to break through in a country like Spain? Or was maybe some of that pressure that you had put on by
No,
yourself?
for me, every time I was going, because I'm from the islands, so I was basically playing every tournament in my islands, and I was having good results there. I'm 2 times regional champion, and everything was going well in the island. But every time I had to fly to the mainland, it was like I forgot how to play tennis. So I don't know if it was because I was not good or because the people there was way too good. Obviously having, but yeah, you feel a little bit of pressure, like having the name of Rafa Nadal always in the top of your head. But I don't know, for me, it was just when I was going to the mainland, and when I was playing tournaments outside of my city.
I cross-reference that to what I can relate to. I was fortunate enough to play a lot of tennis matches with Hawaiians. So the state of Hawaii, people would fly from the island to the mainland to play tournaments, and they always seem to have a hard time competing on the mainland because they didn't get the same quality of competition per se. And it turned into a situation where they were really great practice players, but some of those mental tough moments of being able to know how to compete at that high level, I think it's obvious that you ended up eventually having some success, which led to you being recruited to NJIT. But could you maybe speak to some of those moments where it was really tough for you on the mainland in Spain to where maybe you had a breakthrough? Is there a time that you can remember that was like, I'm actually
To start with a story, at 12, I was still playing soccer. That was a moment, it was a fine line. I keep playing soccer, I keep playing tennis. And I joined one of the clubs back there in the island that were the ones always winning the teams competition. So I could go with them to the national championship by teams and stuff. So when we won that first tournament, I was like, okay, I have to quit soccer and start focusing on tennis. But then probably the most important tournament that I was like, okay, I can actually make it was the one that I told you before, right after NJIT came. It was like I was going to the mainland and I wasn't. I think until I was 16, I probably didn't win a match in the mainland. So it was late for me. It was like, okay, I'm playing a good level here in the island, but then I go out and I don't know how to play tennis. Being on that team helped me a lot because playing teams, I was able to win some matches. I gained some confidence, and then when I went to play that tournament, everything was fine. Like, thank God. But yeah, I will probably say like the team aspect of that helped me a lot, and winning some matches on those type of tournaments helped me a lot after to realize that I could come here and play a good level.
Now, obviously, NJIT is where you ended up. I'm just curious when you were looking at making that shift to play college tennis in the States, were there some other schools that you were looking at as well, or was it just
No,
one?
I don't know if you know how it works, but in Spain and in other parts of the world, you used to get an agency to try to get the offers for you.
Okay.
And well, I record the video of myself playing. I send my grades, my SAT scores, and everything. And NJIT was the only one popping up, and I was like, okay, I guess it's this one or nothing. And it went well. I cannot complain, but it was the only one, and I cannot be more grateful for the opportunity. Yeah. But yeah, it was the only one, and JIT was always the one in my head because it was the only option. Not because I wanted to, it was the only option. So I had to make sure to go for it.
So your parents put you on a plane, you leave your country, you leave your family, you get to campus. I'm just curious, that transformation, that life shift for you, Pablo, how was it for you your first couple days on campus?
I mean, to be honest, I thought it was gonna be way worse. I mean, the guys here received me like one more member of the family, and it was something that I was not sure how that was gonna be. They picked me up at the airport the first day. Coach was not even signed yet. Ira left, and Marco has like didn't sign yet. So we were like, okay, we don't have a coach. Like the teammates have to take care of me. And no, they came tremendously clutch with that. I mean, I remember Sam, one of our seniors 2 years ago, picked me up in the airport, and from that night, everything started to get better and better. And obviously, I had a couple of Spanish speakers here, and that helped me a lot. I mean, being able to talk to someone in Spanish because my English at the time was zero. If I couldn't talk in English, I was like, "Hello, how are you?" And that was the conversation that you could have with me at that point. So yeah, Juan, my best friend here at the time, helped me a lot with that, and then I started like growing, and it was way better. Coach as well made sure that I was doing okay, and here at NJIT we have a lot of resources to make sure that people is in their best mental state. So
Sure. I got to tip my hat to you on your English. You've come a long way and obviously communicate very well.
thank
Fantastic job. And I'm glad that people took you in and you felt support from the get go. And it sounds like from what you said, based off of how you were recruited, even though NJIT was the only school that came up, the coach that you were speaking to at the time, were they not there after you made the decision? Is
yeah,
that correct?
he retired for a year after I committed. Like the good thing is that the assistant coach was Spanish as well, so he was helping me a lot as well. But yeah, coming here and don't have
Nice.
like the shape of a head coach was like, okay, what is going on? But then 2 days later, Marco signed, so it was perfect timing.
That's always funny how timing works, and you're talking to someone that had 5 college coaches in 4 years, lots of changes and shifting,
Wow.
and as you know, with the landscape of the
Yeah.
NCAAs, things can change pretty quick. I wanna be able to obviously talk about last season and what you guys were able to accomplish for the first time in school history, but you and I both know that when it comes to your success, it always has a journey and some challenges that come with it. I know that in your 2021-22 season, you faced an injury that sidelined you for maybe it was right after the first match that year, and you didn't know what was going to come from that, and you had to navigate that setback. And for the listeners, I'd love for you to share what happened and what were the strategies that you had to put in place for you to get back on court and compete at a high level.
Yeah. So I came here. I played my first
Good.
in September. Everything was going well. And in October, second tournament of the fall season, I broke my ankle. Yeah, it was a rough start, but and then I healed up. Apparently, I healed up. Everything was good, ready to play. First match of the season in the spring, it happened again. At that point, I was talking to coach, and I was like, "Coach, I don't, I don't know if this is gonna keep happening or what was the problem." I gained a lot of weight my first semester. Obviously, I couldn't play. I was in America eating burgers, pizza, fries. It was like that. I
We got lots of options for you here, man. I'm sure you've exhausted
I
that.
it was my fault. It was fully my fault. We have plenty of food here, but I was just okay. The burgers, the pizza look better than everything else, so I was just going there, and I gained 20 pounds my first semester. Obviously, sitting on the bench, not be able to lift, not be able to run, not be able to play tennis. It was more mentally tough than it was for for my for my physical condition. I was like, okay, I'm gonna be here for a year without doing anything. Zero development, zero tennis. I was lost at that point, but that's when Marco came clutch again, and he was like, okay, look, you have two options. One is just think that you're the worst person in the world and the most unlucky person in the world, or two, you take this as a learning path and you learn from there. And I was there, like I was waking up at 6 a.m. with the guys, going to live with them, just watching them live, then going to court at 10, spending 3 hours on court watching the guys play. And honestly, I think it was the most helpful experience of my life. I learned a lot from being sitting on the bench and just seeing what was going on. And I also learned a lot how college tennis was, because if you threw me out there like the first match of the season or the second match of the season without knowing what college tennis was, I will be in shock, and I don't think I will be ready to play tennis at the best of my capabilities. Then obviously we thought about the red shirt, and I was one match away to not be able to do it. But I was still thinking, okay, I don't think I want to be here playing for 4 years. At that point, I was like, I don't want to be here for that long. So I was talking to coach, and I was like, okay, let me play at least conference. I wanted to play conference because I had a really good relationship with all the seniors that year. And I was like, okay, I want to help them try and win the conference. And coach didn't let me do it. And it was the best decision probably that he took, because he took it for me, but it was probably the best decision of my life, not playing that conference. So be able to do the redshirt and have my 5th year now.
That's really telling, because I'm a dad of potential and upcoming college athletes. My son is a cross country and track runner, about to go give it a shot at Butler University in
Nice.
Indiana next year. And one thing that I've learned from a parent perspective is it's really hard for collegiate athletes in 2025 to have patience, to not want to have all the instant gratification. NIL deals, guys, whether it's right or wrong, they're playing high level of college tennis, and then they're having some success on the tour, and they decide to forego their remaining years of eligibility. As I'm speaking about some of those trends, and you think back to that moment where coach said, "We're going to redshirt you." Was there any ounce of you in that moment that was a little bit frustrated, or were you truly trusting the process at
Oh,
that
no,
point, Pablo?
100% I was pissed at coach. I was probably like not talking to him for like a week. But then I guess I talked to my family, and my family was like, Pablo, this is the right decision as well. So I'm a big family guy. So when I talk to my family and my family says, yeah, this is the right decision, I was like, okay, I have to stop. But yeah, definitely I was pissed at coach for at least a week.
Let's take that moment of being frustrated, and I would have loved to be a fly on the wall to hear some of those conversations you had with coach and your displeasures, but we'll save that for another podcast. You get to this point where your patience pays off, and last year you get to do something extraordinary, and I've been fortunate enough to have your coach on and understand some of the nuances of NJIT, and a lot of matches are played indoors. Guys are hitting big serves, you get into the nets, you're ending points quick. You got some outdoor matches that you might have to go down to Texas, and the points get longer and things get a little bit tougher. You recently, I believe, got to go out there with your boys to I think a basketball game and little ring ceremony, right? And see these flashy rings that probably had to mean a lot to you. But if you reflect back to that season, what do you remember?
When things started, it was the same as the year before. We were playing really good at home. I think we went 11-0 the year before. The year that we won the championship, the loss came before. I think we lost the 3rd or the 4th game of the season, and that helped us a lot to, okay, we have to be humble this year. Like last year we were okay, and then we went to conference, and first round we were out. So I think that helped us a lot. And then like coach always does something that I think is really good, that he builds up the schedule super good. So we don't have like super difficult matches at the beginning, but then it all started like going harder. And it was super special. When we lost to Drexel in that 4th game of the year, 7-6 in the 3rd with I don't know how many match points, we sat down the team together, and we were like, okay, if this is what we want, we have to work harder. And then starting perfect, we kept on winning. What happened? We go down to Texas. We start playing outdoors. We start with playing against team of our conference. And yeah, we go to Texas, 2 matches. We lost 2 matches. The coach sat us down again right after the match. And he was like, guys, we have to do something to improve this situation. We were an indoor team at the time. We were playing 10 matches indoors in a row, 12 matches indoors in a row, and then going down to Texas with a hot wind outdoors. It was something different. So we came back to campus, and coach started making us work at 6 a.m. 6 a.m. You guys put 100 and 200 volts in, and then you can go home. You can go home. No, the first one can go home. The other ones were doing sprints. So that really prepared us mentally, honestly. That's something that it was extremely helpful for us, for the whole team. And I think that's one of the keys why we won later on. Then, yes, we went to play Delaware, that they were 35 in the country at that point as well. Tremendous season from them. And we go play them outdoors at their home. And we beat Delaware. And at that point, it was okay. Well, maybe we can make it. Like we lost 5-2 to Incarnate Word in spring break, but we just beat Delaware 4-2 at their home. So maybe we can make it happen. And then obviously going down there, the first match for us was super important. We have never won a conference match before.
Where was the conference championships
It was in
played?
San Antonio. So it was not in Incarnate Word courts, but it was like 20 minutes away from that.
Gotcha. And I find that interesting logistically, because here's your conference championship. You guys are in a conference that literally covers the entire United States. Being all the way on the East Coast and traveling all the way down to
Yeah.
Texas, man, was that like logistically, is that a challenge for you guys just to get acclimated to the travel?
It was when I first came here, we were in the ASIN, that it was in most of the teams are in Florida and North Alabama, like different teams as well. And I was like, okay, we're not even close to our conference. Then NJIT switched to American East, that are all the teams like up here, but they didn't have tennis. So like the best solution was to go to Southland. And it was, for us, it was like, okay, we will go play outdoors. I've been playing outdoors my whole life. I was not gonna have a problem with that. But then when you go down there, you have a problem. You like, if you're not ready mentally, you really struggle. And yeah, that was what happened. The team went down the first year, and it was like 4-1 in an hour and 25 minutes. We were out of the courts. It was a shocker, but I think that also helped us a lot to make it happen next year. Like we went there with another mentality, because we were like, okay, everybody here, like the year before we won, everybody here had a worse record than us. And we were like, okay, we're going to walk this conference. And it was super good for us to realize that the teams there play really high tennis level. And last year we went there with that mentality, and I think it was what helped us the most. Going there, hey guys, we have to play to beat these teams, and we were eager since the minute one. And well, the end of the story is likely super happy, but
Absolutely. And I think of again that moment where you're fighting 2 ankle breaks and you're having a tough conversation with coach, and then you're fast forwarding to being able to win that championship and do it as I believe a captain, a team leader. When you really think back to that last point, the ball drops, you guys know that you won the conference championship. What kind of emotions were going through your head knowing that this is the first time in NJIT school history that this championship has ever been won?
well, it was a lot of pride. Before the first serve, I was like, okay, I'm gonna hit it as hard as I can. Hopefully it lands in, and that's it. No. I had too much points the game before. I didn't convert it, and then I was shaking. I was like, okay, let's go for this as hard as I can. He puts the return back, and then I have to hit a 4, and I'm like, no, please, no. I finally made it, and then the balls land in the net. I didn't have any emotions. I had guys like on me, and it was like, okay, first of all, I have to get out of here. And then second, I can start thinking about how I'm feeling. And we went to talk to coach. And then when I called my parents, I started crying like I've never cried before. And I was talking to my mom, and I was like, "Mom, I don't know how this happened, but it just happened. Like, it is an incredible feeling. I couldn't stop crying for like 3 or 4 minutes, but it was an incredible sensation. I mean, all the work that we put during that year, I think it paid off, and that's all you can ask for a team. Like we work super hard that year, and we're working probably harder this year because we know how difficult it is to repeat. But the feelings are unmatchable. I don't think I will experience something like that in my life right now.
I want to draw a circle around that for just a sec, Pablo, because you're saying something that really resonates with me, and that's the relationship with your mom. I myself got to play a few matches, and my mom was a tremendous impact in my life. Some good ways, some not so good ways, but ultimately she loved watching me play tennis. And she unfortunately passed away when I was 20. And that following semester, I was playing a tennis tournament that was down at Creighton in Nebraska. And it was a pretty high level tournament. Along with the story, like you think of the most insurmountable aspects to a team being able to make an impact, and we didn't have a shot to win anything as a team, but somehow, some way, it was 5 3-set tiebreakers in a row. I came through and won the singles championship for the bracket, and I just remember that same kind of emotion that you're talking about. And I thought about, man, it would have been awesome to share this moment with my mom. Now, granted, I had some teammates that were pretty excited that I won as well, and I was trying to get out there just like you, but when I say that, man, I don't know if your mom was able to come out to watch that conference tournament or your family, but if not, what was that conversation like? What made it emotional with your parents, and how ultimately did it go from you getting on a plane to come to the United States, not knowing what was gonna happen, to that moment? How much did that mean to
Yeah,
you?
it means the world. I cannot be one of the things that I'm more thankful in my life is to have everybody on my family supporting me. And well, they couldn't watch the game because the VPN didn't work in Spain, like with ESPN and stuff. They couldn't watch the game, so they were
Yeah.
following the stats, and the stats stopped in the 5-3 in the third.
Oh,
They
refresh,
they yeah,
right?
they were like, "What's going on?" Something happened. It
And
was a day that we were not supposed to play because it was raining as well. So they were like, "Okay, maybe it was because of that." And when I called my mom, she doesn't like to watch my matches. She's super nervous about it. My dad is the one always watching me. My dad has this notebook with all my matches. He goes, every point I win, every point, like every game, every point. Okay, this game you won on Dios. He does that. He's crazy with the sport. And when I called my mom, because my mom is always the one picking up, my dad barely picks up the phone. I don't know why, what's going on in the house, but she always picks up. So I called her, and I saw both of them and my sister crying and celebrating. And I was like, okay, this is unmatchable. It's You cannot ask for more than this.
I love that, man. Unbelievable accomplishment to you and that program, and sure it made your parents proud. Full circle moment, and I wanna touch on some of the attributes that you carry as a player that I think can lead to these types of results, and that's your mental toughness. I've been able to watch some of the highlights of you competing, and you're a grinder, man. You're out there a lot of passion, a lot of balls back in the court. And when you have your opportunities to be aggressive, you take those chances, as you mentioned, winning the conference championship. But your coach and I have been talking a lot about the mental side and some of the attributes that players can do off the courts to help them prepare for matches, yoga, breath work. Knowing everything that you've been through on the court, what are some things that you've learned as a college athlete to help manage your emotions when you're trying to serve it out at 5-3 in the third? What are some of the things that have been able to help?
First of all, we were talking before about my walking class. I also took like a yoga class last semester here, so it helps a lot. We had our meditation coach here as well. It's a friends of coach, and we're talking to them like he's always there with for us. Gael is like helping us a lot. We have every Wednesday at 3, we have a conversation with him, and he has come here a couple of times to work with us, and he has given us a lot of tools. So we have a lot of tools to work with. And when I am trying to close a game or it's a deuce, I need to breathe a lot. I need to go to my towel. I need to go to the fence. I always try to find something in the fence that is not normal. So it is like my point of see, okay, I have to focus on this to not be overthinking on the match. And well, I think both Mark, my assistant coach, and Marco has a good job as well with that, because every time they see that I'm like struggling a little bit, they try to stop the match, tell me, hey, you have like to breathe, you have to do this, this, and this, and use your tools. I mean, we even have tools like when we go and warm up, we're always constantly thinking, okay, the ball is bouncing and I'm hitting the ball. The ball is bouncing and I'm hitting the ball. And that's all coming from Gael and the meditation that we're doing. I mean, I like to meditate once in the morning and once in the afternoon to relieve pressure, and that that's huge for me, especially when I go to the matches. If you see a match like one of my matches, you will think, okay, this guy, it's an angry man, because I am sometimes. But then when it comes like to the important points, I'm super calm, and that's something that I think it's been helpful for me, like inside of the tennis court and outside as well.
So if you had to reflect back on the Canary Islands and going to play these tournaments on the mainland as a
For
junior, if you had some of the tools you have now with the meditation and were practicing that back when you were a junior, do you think that would have changed some of the results you had?
drastically, I will have been a different player for sure. I didn't think that the mental standpoint of tennis was that big until I came here. I was just going there on court, playing, hitting balls, and that's it. I was not worrying about how I was thinking about the point, how I was recovering after the points. I was just going there, hitting the ball, and that's it. Now with those tools that I have right now and all I have learned during all this path, it will have been like a way different story for me for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And getting to a point now to where you've won a conference championship, you got a taste of the NCAAs last year. You start a new year this year. I know that the fall might have not been ideally what you guys wanted starting wise, but you're back at it again here in the spring. And you were what, 18-2 last year in singles, Pablo. That's a heck of a record. And knowing now that you're the ones with the target on your back being the conference champions, what's harder for you, chasing the championship or defending it?
No, I think one, I think it's defending it for sure. Like last year, as I said before, we were super eager. Like we really wanted to win, and I think that's a feeling that our rivals have now. I think they are competing and practicing just to beat us, not even for a championship. They are practicing to beat NJIT and to say, okay, we beat the champions last year. So it's hard right now. We know that we're doing the best job we can. We're actually playing harder, working harder than last year by a mile. And yeah, it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be super hard to repeat, because I think it's one of the toughest thing to do in sports, that is repeat. But coach has been like really into that. Guys, they are coming after us, so we have to put that one more gear and go there and beat them again. And that's the goal for this year.
Is it a little bit to your advantage knowing that you have a coach that absolutely knows what it's like to be in your guys' shoes? Two-time national champion as a player, Marco Mediucci. Is that kinda cool to know that he's been there, done that, and can maybe allow you guys to realize that you have someone in your corner that knows exactly how you feel?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that make us respect him that much. And
Mm.
out of that, like, obviously had a successful college career, but then as a coach, he's been like tremendous as well. And for us, he's just not
Yeah.
like thinking about how we're playing. He always think about how we're feeling, and that's something that I think that makes him more valuable for us. I think that if he was just telling me how to hit a forehand, we'll probably not connect as well as we do. But him caring about how I'm feeling, about how everybody's feeling, it's something that it's way better for us. And I don't think there's many coaches out there caring that much as Marco does for us.
Yeah, and being able to do the balancing act that you do, not just on the tennis court, but with your academics. Obviously, you're winding down your undergrad career, majoring in business, and doing the juggling act of being a student athlete, coming from another country, language barrier. I just have so much respect for what you've been able to do to this point, Pablo. But with that said, you have the ring ceremony, you have the reflection of the injuries and how you got here in the first place. If you think of an ideal moment for these last few months at NJIT, when you are doing your meditation, if you're anything like me, I'm visualizing what's possible. I'm looking into what I'm capable of doing in my mind, in my thoughts to create a physical outcome. What would be that ideal physical outcome for you and the program the end of this
Oh,
year?
another ring. I think that's what the goal is. We are not caring anymore about the rankings. The rankings were something good for the program like last year. Okay, we were 57 in the country at some point. That was good, but I think that what we want is another ring. We want to get there and get one more, and for me, finishing this journey at NJIT in the highest possible note. And for me personally, and seeing how the guys are playing and seeing the team that we have this year, for me will not be crazy even to win a round in NCAs. I think we have the team to do that, and if we have like a good draw, it's possible for us with how these guys are practicing and competing. Honestly,
It's certainly an exciting time for you, and obviously being able to be a leader and share these moments with the guys and your coach, it's just got to be pretty awesome. But also too, in the world of going back to that red shirt moment, it's given you an opportunity to graduate from NJIT here in a few months and ride off into the sunsets, but you have eligibility. And it's awesome news a few days right before this recording that here you are wanting to give it a shot down and be a Florida Gator. Why don't you walk the listeners through the landscape of being an NCAA athlete that can graduate and still have an opportunity to give it a shot at another school? What does that mean to you?
when I had to decide about the redshirt. As I told you before, I was mad at coach. Now I cannot be more thankful for that because I have the opportunity to go somewhere else, somewhere where they've been national champions. My first year here, they were national champion. Oh, what can I say? It's it's incredible, like the opportunity that I'm having, and it's something that I want to take as much as possible to try to improve as a tennis player, and then be ready to try and go pro because that's the goal. And I think Coach Steinberg down in Florida and the whole coaching staff are the best fit for me to go there, try to improve the most before going into the tour. And it is an incredible feeling to be a Gator, obviously. It's when you see, it's probably when you see the movies when you're back at home, and Florida is one of the top schools you will see. And obviously with Shelton coming out, Florida, it is huge for me as well. Because that means that they're doing the right thing down there, and I'm super excited to join them.
Yeah, I've been pretty fortunate, Pablo, to have former national champions on the podcast, players, coaches. Dick Gould at Stanford, he 17-time national champion as a coach. And a good friend of mine, Richard Johnson, here from Colorado, he was at Pepperdine, and he ended up serving it out for the national championship on a broken foot.
Oh, no.
So interesting parallel to your story. But nonetheless, I share all of that because I think the opportunity that you have currently and that you have next year as a graduate student doesn't come without this journey and the process being aligned exactly the way that it needed to for you to have these opportunities. When you reflect on your journey, Pablo, and what you've been through, man, I want you to think of it this way. If you had an opportunity to sit down with a teen tennis player out in Spain, Canary Islands, maybe trying to get ready for a tennis tournament on the mainland, and they're coming off of an injury. Maybe they just broke their ankle and they're down in the dumps, man. They don't know how to process the injury, let alone know how tournament tough they're going to have to be to excel on the main island. Knowing what you know now, if you had a moment to sit on the bench with that player and give them some words of encouragement, what would you say to them?
I'll tell him to enjoy. At the end of the day, it's just a sport, and nobody's gonna kill you if you don't win the game. And that's the feeling that I have at some point playing tennis. That if I wasn't winning that game, someone was gonna come and kill me. And at the end of the day, it's just a sport, and you have to go enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, like in 3 4 years, you're not gonna be playing anymore that sport. So go out there, enjoy, play your hard, and work hard as well. Because if you're not doing your 100% every day, there's no point to be on court. And that's something that I learned here as well. Back in Spain, I was going there just practicing, and that's it. Now here, I am in practice. I think there's a big difference between practicing and be there. And yeah, I will tell them to enjoy and work as hard as possible because nobody cares how hard you're working. So you have to go there and work for yourself and for your family
Mhm.
or for whoever you want, but work hard. That's all.
Well said. So many wise words, Pablo, and your journey, I just don't take lightly. I think it's an extraordinary story. I'm incredibly proud of what you've been able to achieve and how ironic it is the relationship you have with your coach, of which was a tremendous impact to a good friend of mine that has been able to now coach herself. And it's tennis is a small world, as you eloquently know, even being far from home in Spain. But keep up the good work representing the Highlanders finishing this last year, but also too, man, to chomp it down in the swamp when you go to Florida. But Pablo Perez Ramos, thank you so much for spending some time with me today on the BTB project.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I honestly appreciate you a lot and all you do for the community.
Such an impactful episode with Pablo Perez Ramos. And to hear his story from navigating his junior tennis development on the Canary Islands to going over to the mainland in Barcelona, Spain, to try to win matches and develop his ranking to have a chance to either play professionally or in college. And to hear about the support of his family for him to overcome the adversity that he did, there's a tremendous amount of takeaways for you as the listener that you can apply into your own life. Each and every one of us have situations where there's ups and downs, and our ability to find the silver lining of belief. And as Pablo said, being able to go back to his why and the power of family, the support system that he had to get through those difficult circumstances was one of the many takeaways that I had from the conversation. Listen, if Pablo's episode impacted you, do me a favor and like and subscribe to the BTB Project. Better yet, send this message to a family member, friend, or colleague and tell them about Pablo's story. Tell them how it's something that would be beneficial and influential to them. It's this BTB community and sharing these stories together that truly provides lasting impact and to help us live the legacy of impossible is nothing. As always, I'm proud of each and every one of you. And until next time, take care.